what's up, Alpha Gang? It is Mike again from Alpha Gem Performance. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm trying to vlog from my car. But the reason I'm making this video is because I've been getting a few requests just on a review of the Stuffed Turbo from when I installed it over a year ago. So with enough requests, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? You know, I'm listening to you guys on content as well. So yeah, I'm just going to review basically for my over a year of running the Stuffed Turbo. I'll put the video or the links on the install as well as me getting the car on the dyno and the numbers, so you can check out those videos, of course. I'm mainly just going to review the turbo and not go over all those other details, but there will be a link probably above that you can check out for both those videos just to get a little bit more info on me installing the actual turbo itself and what was all involved, as well as running it on the dyno and the differences from before and after in terms of horsepower as I compare that as well in final numbers. But anyways, as for the Stuffed Turbo, for the most part, everybody knows I'm going with a bigger turbo setup, but this was a good midway point. Like, if you're already at the point where you've gone full bolt-ons, you're kind of happy where, you know, you're almost used to your full bolt-on setup in a tune, but you want a bit more, but don't want the complication of like a big turbo setup, for example, and all the complications that come with that, of building a setup like that. The Stuffed Turbo option I found was a really good midway point. So if you wanted a bit more power, you know, anywhere from like 30, 50 real horsepower plus, depending on how you build your Stuffed Turbo setup, it's right there, and it's a straight replacement. So because it uses your stock turbo, the frame, it's just an enlarged inlet, better internals, quicker spooling, and in return, with a tune to adjust for the extra airflow, you are also getting more horsepower, more torque, and the responsiveness is still there, just like you would with a stock turbo. And I find the power went all the way to redline, which is great. Sorry, the road's a bit bumpy here, but I'm really happy with the setup. I've ran it pretty hard. It's not just regular street driving or spirited driving. As you know, with this car, I've had numerous track days with the car, and it's held up really, really well, and performed well against other, you know, pretty competitive cars on the track as well. The horsepower numbers were nice. It was a nice gain. So I mean, honestly, for the review and for any maintenance, I have no issues. I know some guys are wondering, you know, in terms of reliability, is it going to affect anything? I would compare it honestly to the stock turbo. As long as you're pretty good with your overall maintenance already, like mainly oil, I'd probably say is the biggest thing. Checking your oil frequently, like you would with any vehicle, or with proper maintenance. Checking your spark plugs frequently with your tunes. It's a great setup. The cost, I believe, I went through Turbo Parts Canada when I got my Stuffed Turbo, and the cost, I think at the time, was probably about like $1,200, give or take, maybe $1,000. I can't remember exactly, but I just shipped them my core, and then they made the modifications and sent it back, and then I just basically put it in the same location. It was just stock frame in and out. So I would highly recommend it. I'm a big fan of this setup, and at a couple points while I was building this Genesis, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just, you know, just add methanol injection just to get a bit more power out of this car, but with a Stuffed Turbo setup. But I know I wanted to go bigger, but this was like, I'm always happy driving this car with a Stuffed Turbo setup. Like, it's always enjoyable. It always puts a smile on my face. And it still spins the tires, even with grippier tires that I have on this car. I really enjoy it. So like, if you want a bit more power out of your turbo setup, and you're on a BK2, it is just a straight swap and then a tune, and then you'd be set. So it's pretty straightforward and simple. Just make sure that your car is already running well before you start adding, you know, more power to it, for example. But yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. I'll provide some pulls as well, just so you can see kind of what it looks like on my speedometer, I guess. Just some maybe sprints from 40 to, I don't know, 120 or 140. But it feels great. I honestly love it.
life would be fine with the power that you could be making. Some of these setups you're making anywhere from like 320 to 380 wheel horsepower, depending on your fueling or say water meth injection. But yeah, it's great. I can't say enough. I don't want to keep babbling on, but yeah, the Stuffed Turbo review from Turbo Parts Canada is excellent. I would recommend it to anybody before even going with like a big turbo setup. See how they like it, and then make your decision and go from there. But it's a reliable setup. And it's great. So even if you're gonna blow, let's say if you went through an old turbo and you had to replace it, I would say don't replace it with a stock turbo, just replace it with a stuffed unit and then get retuned. It's a good option. BK1s, however, I believe you would need an injector upgrade if you're going with the a stuffed turbo unit, just because the injectors are pretty small. Yeah, other than that, I'll leave it at that, and I would give it 2 thumbs up for sure. So, thanks a lot, guys, for watching this review. Catch you on the next one. All right. Peace.